Hello everyone and welcome to this evening's stream. It looks like everything's working alright, that's lovely to see. Let's kind of get into it. So as you can see today, I am working on a rather lovely, they are actually I think they're a high elf? I'm trying to remember. But they have a magical item that essentially allows them to kind of sprout these lovely wings, which is why they've got this whole kind of angel aesthetic going on, which is really fun. Emma Mishi, thank you so much for the sub. Subs are wonderful. We love them very, very much. So thank you so much there. So yeah, I've been thinking about the best way to go about, obviously, the next part, which is the line art. And there are a few different approaches I could take. But one thing that's kind of on my mind is, in order to make the canvas big enough to get all the detail I'm going to want, I kind of need to make it big, right? And the wings add a lot of, like, blank space. So what I might do is think. What I might do is we're going to make a new canvas. And that's just kind of an A4 page at 300 DPI. Oh, Evamishi, thank you so much. Yeah, I think they are like wings are flying. So yeah, I've created a brand new canvas. I'm just going to set it up the way I like it. I like to have my canvases kind of off-white. I don't know why it calms me. Then we're going to take this layer here, which is our sketch for the body. There we go. You can kind of see that the other one was originally a similar size. Just going to dunk it in there, and then we can resize the canvas without the wings for now, because these wings are... they're big, and I'm going to paint them separately. What we're going to do is we're going to paint the body first, and then add the wings like as a separate thing once the body is done. So that's kind of where my mind is at here. Also, I don't know why, I should probably put this palette over here now, shouldn't I? Whoops. Whoa. Seeing double. Let me just move this across. There we go. There is my paint palette for the skin, in case we get that far. Hey, Argwin! Welcome. Must be weird seeing yourself. Cool, so now we've got this new canvas set up. We're going to go ahead and resize it. We're going to jump right up to, I think we'll go 3400. Should give us enough space to do the lines and make it look all nice. Thank you so much, Argwin, for the subscription. That's very, very kind. And also, was it my phone buzzing because of the sub? I don't know. And thank you so much, Meta Galactic Llama, for the subscription as well. Everyone, that's really, really lovely. Thank you so much. Every sub is sacred, as they say. Oh, that's cut off because that's where the wing comes in. Got it. In which case, what I might do is take away the quiver as well for now. We'll add that in with the wings. Quiver's there. You can kind of see it on that layer. There we go. Lovely. Okay. So now that's all in place. Oh wow, the hype train is level 1, whatever that means. It's very exciting though. What we're going to do now, we're happy with the sketch. The sketch has been approved by the commissionee. So I'm going to group it all together, like so. Still keeping the multiply blending mode. And then we're going to turn down that opacity so we can just barely see it as we go to work on the line art. Cool. So, thank you so much, Barry Gold, Iron Babs, and Metagalactic Llama for the follows. take a moment to say it right. Okay, so we have our palette layer there. I'm just going to name that now so I don't forget. Also, the music's ever so quiet. Let me just turn it up for y'all. There we go. Okay. Now, let's start some line art. So the way I approach line art is with my new layer. I'm just going to name it so I don't lose which one it is. Start as you need to go on. We're going to set to multiply, as I always do. And we're going to select a kind of a grey that's about 2/3 of the way down. This particular one is B2B2B2 hex code, if that helps anyone. And then we are going to set our brush. So the brush I use for line art is the 4th one down, hard round pressure size. So we're going to go ahead and grab that. And then in the brush settings, when it loads up, we're going to go down and tick transfer, making sure that these are the settings. They're kind of the default, but that's kind of what we want. So we're gonna make sure all those are on. Oh, thank you so much, Sea of Atlas, for the resubscription. That's wonderful. I'm doing very well, thank you. It's been a nice, well, it's been nice to get back into streaming. I was gonna say it's been a nice day, but it's been a very heavy day for a whole number of reasons for a lot of people. So I'm not gonna say that because it wouldn't be true. I spent most of today away from the Twitters because everything's been a lot lately. I've been basically sewing all day, which has been good fun. I've done quite a lot of filming as well as I've been doing it, so I'm hoping to basically have a cute little video to show my process of making like a medieval underdress out soon. Nightpixie18, for commissions when they open, where do you prefer to get in contact? In terms of where to get in contact, it depends. If I posted on Patreon and you're on the Patreon, the best place to contact me is on Patreon. Or if you're not on the Patreon and you just see the Twitter kind of the Twitter post come up saying I'm open for commissions, I'm happy to take Twitter DMs as well, as and when my commissions open. Emails are fine. I don't mind emails at all. It's just I get a lot of them now, and it's got to the point where, because obviously when you're a freelancer and your contact details are sort not open to everyone, but like they're more known after a while, I think. You get a lot of spam, so sometimes I miss emails. And do I know when I'll be opening for commissions? It'll probably be April. Of course, I know we're already most of the way through March now, which is crazy. But probably April. I can't say exactly when. Like I've mentioned a few times, I've got a big NDA project, contract project that's so exciting. But oof, it's a lot of work and it's quite exhausting, but in a good way. I'm just kind of getting the lines for this chin right. I don't want it to be too pointy, actually. Looking a little pointy. But yes. I will make sure to keep everyone updated and give people like at least a week's notice before I open commissions. So you kind of can plan ahead if that's what you want to do. Okay, that's a bit better. Okay, so let's go and do this, actually do this ear next, I think. Aw, Tilly17, thank you so much. I'm really happy that you enjoyed it. That's very kind. And hey, Elizabeth, welcome. Lovely to have you here as always. Oh yes, Argwin, do tell everyone about your character. Because I like hearing about the characters as I paint them. And I think chat does too. What do we need to ask for and what are price ranges? So the current price list for my commissions is on Patreon. You need to scroll down a little bit, but it's a public post, so you don't need to be subscribed to see it. And that was my price list back in September. I am going to be tweaking it a little bit. A few things are going to go up and down. So bear that in mind. But that was my last price list. In terms of the actual process, when I say I'm open for commissions, please do check to make sure that I'm still open, because often my window of opportunity, as it were, is only open for like a few hours. Usually is how long I can keep commissions open. So do check that. And if I'm still open for commissions, just send me a message on whichever platform that you've kind of that you've seen the message in the first place, or email me. That also works fine. And I will get back to you probably the day after, because when I do open commissions, it gets very frantic. And yeah, it's like, if you imagine like hundreds of people emailing and messaging me like all at the same time, it's a lot to process. It's just me doing all of this, so please understand if it takes me a little while to get back to you. And at that point, obviously, I'll let you know if you've got a question. Peril asks 98, is this usual? Yeah, pretty much. I jump between different things that I do on stream. I've done, most of the time I do like the actual paint stage of working on characters. Today I'm doing line art, because I have line art to do. It kind of depends on what work I've got to do on a given day as to what we see on stream. Now, I'm looking at this and there's a lot of detail in this character, and I'm actually thinking I might just boost the canvas size up a tiny bit. My computer's gonna hate me, but it already does, nothing new. And then I'm gonna drop down to a 5. Ooh, we got a hype train emote. I don't know what that does, but I'm gonna share it. Hey! Oh, he's a rogue! Sorry, I said in the stream that he was a ranger. Very sorry about that. They're a rogue, not a ranger. Just very gently going around the outside of these lips. Keeping, I like to keep line work on the lips as subtle as I can. There we go. That's a little too shunted forward for me, so I'm actually gonna retract that line and try again. That'll do for now. I'll probably go and edit it at some point. Thank you so much, Ferret07, for the follow. No, that line's not quite right. My best friend is Control Z here. Eyes are where you really want your small brushes, just to get all the details in. Again, a lot of the detail does also come through the painting stage, so in some ways I keep things fairly simple. I don't like to make the piece too busy with line work, when obviously a lot of the tone and the shape is achieved with the paint work. Okay, so it's together, right? And this is where I zoom out and I hate my life. Because I need to flip the canvas to make sure the eyes are right. And no artist likes that, trust me. Alright, here goes. How much am I gonna hate it? Oh, not too much actually. That's not too bad. The pupil, well not the pupil, the iris on this side is a bit big, so actually rather than manually draw it, I'm going to use one of my favourite tools. Anyone who's not familiar with the liquify tool, it allows you to kind of pull and drag your piece around, change the change perspective and dimensions, all that kind of jazz. Like so. It allows you to make small changes without having to like redo all your work, you know? Alright, I'm going to flip that back because that was actually fairly painless. Liquify tool is so good, I love it to pieces. Rough estimate, what time frame does a work take? It really depends. In terms of the time I'm actually working on a piece, so for example, this piece is a full body painterly style with some big accessories, like wings are kind of I count as accessories, but they're very big ones, so they take longer and they cost extra. To paint a character like this from sketch, line art, and paint to finish, I usually budget at around 2 to 3 days work. That's how long the actual work takes. In terms of first making the commission to receiving the final artwork, I always basically, the disclaimer I give on my commission details is that it can take anywhere up to 4 months. Purely because doing art commissions can be quite an unpredictable thing. Life happens. I can, maybe I get sick, maybe something comes up, maybe someone commissions an urgent kind of rush job. Usually it's done a lot quicker than that, but, sometimes, life gets in the way and stuff takes a bit longer. So I like to kind of, make people aware that sometimes they will take a little bit longer, and can take a couple of months. Let's just get this hair in here. Let's try to get nice and gently. But in terms of actual work, a piece like this is probably all told more like 3 days work when I'm thinking about the wings as well. Oh, Tilly17, thank you so much. I must admit, it's quite a weird feeling to go on Pinterest looking for reference images and see my own stuff sometimes. It's a fairly recent phenomenon, and it's a weird one. Yeah. And I don't really mind people putting my work on Pinterest. It's kind of cool with me, as long as it's from a source where I'm credited. It's not like just reposted on Pinterest, Because most of the time on Pinterest, there's a link that takes you to like the original source of an image. And so I don't mind that. It's when people kind of just directly repost it on there with no credit. It's like, well, shouldn't really do that. It's a bit naughty. Let's get these nice soft little wavy curls in here. I love hairstyles like this, the kind of half fallen loose kind of midday haircut. Yeah, exactly. I think most of my stuff that is on Pinterest is directly from my Twitter, so that's fine. You're biased. You can't say he's got best hair. I mean, technically you can. Physically you can. Alright, keeping the nice soft lines, keep it nice and silky. We support self-love as your D&D character. We absolutely do. I mean, when I've been feeling down recently, I've just been drawing my D&D character, Riza. She cheers me up a lot. Something about playing a barbarian just makes you happy, At least playing my barbarian has made me very happy. I didn't think I'd like the class very much, but I love it. I'm over the moon with it. Oh, which reminds me, I'm so sad. My copy of Candlekeep Mysteries has not arrived. I pre-ordered it and everything. It was meant to get here yesterday and it hasn't even been dispatched yet. I'm so sad. Oh, that's so cute. Thank you, Ogwin. Yeah, Riza is very special to me and I love that people enjoy her stuff. I want to do some more cosplay for her soon. Do some like in-character TikToks and stuff because why the hell not? I'm here to have fun. Just gonna tidy up around that ear a wee bit. I haven't done his eyebrows yet. How did I miss that? Oh well, we'll do them in a sec. And nice little curls in that ponytail. Nice and silky. Ooh, Evermishi, what are you making? Tell us about your new character. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that hair. I think that's cute. Let's put these eyebrows in before I forget again. Ooh, Death Cleric. That's very cool. I love, yes. Curse of Strahd, Death Cleric, Furbolg is such a great combo. Alright, there we have eyebrows, so we've done that. I won't forget now. And now we can start working through the costume, and I'm going to work out, before I do that, am I going to sneeze? No? Am I going? No? Nope, sneeze isn't coming. I'm good, I think. It might surprise me in a second, but for now, I'm sneezeless. Okay, let's do this collar, I think, first. Oh, the Reborn. Are they one of the new kind of gothic horror inspired lineages? I can't actually remember. That particular Unearthed Arcana kind of went over my head a bit, but it sounded very cool. Just putting a bit of leather trim. This is all armor underneath the coat, by the way. It's like leather armor, so I'm gonna give it that nice kind of thick texture. It was one of the UA lineages. Yeah, I thought so. Alright, then we've kind of got this collar style armor that comes around from the shoulders. There we go, it's a bit better. And I think it makes sense to put the coat collar in here first. And then we've also got, gosh, so many details. We've also got the quiver is strung across the body, but I'm actually going to do that on its own layer on top. So for now, I'm going to ignore that detail. Oh, the rabbit folk. I love the rabbit folk so much. They're so cute. I can't wait to, I hope someone commissions me to paint one. Hint, hint. A tiny barbarian fairy. That would be great. I love kind of like the lineages that like don't really suit the class. Like I love the idea of a fairy barbarian so much. It'd be so funny. Excuse me. Right, we kind of got like a collar with a hood situation going on here. Okay, kind of see what it looks like without the sketch underneath there. Oh, rabbit folk monks are so cool. That's such a great vibe. So much cool potential. Again, gonna put this kind of leather trim around the armor plates. Whoops. Making a mess. Like so. And then we've kind of got a central plate here, which is going to come across the middle of the chest. I mean, I guess it depends depends on the campaign you're playing. If you're playing something quite mystical and Feywild inspired, I mean, when I've played the Feywild, I have tons of anthropomorphic animals, but I don't necessarily push it in a fuzzy bunny, like, sweet and Disney-fied way. Like, there are loads of interesting ways you can take more anthropomorphized animals without them having to be cutesy. Obviously you've got, like, Final Fantasy does that in Final Fantasy Online. And you can give them a more kind of Watership Down vibe. That's always great. It's kind of the same way that, you know, Tabaxi aren't necessarily cutesy. It's just kind of a similar thing to that, really. Okay, I'm actually going to have a little bit of trim coming down from there. It's kind of, that's going to be all part of this plate coming down here. I'm kind of correcting my own symmetry as I go along. Alright, there's some kind of, you can see the armor coming together there underneath the code. Okay, so I think before we move down to the rest of the chest, I'm going to start moving, kind of doing some more of the coat and the shoulders. So I'm just going to bring the line of the coat down. I'm going to save, because we haven't saved this at all yet. Oh, jeez. This is going to be ARG Win 2, because it's like the second iteration. Okay. And I'm going to start with the kind of, it's like an interesting kind of combination of the coat and some leather pauldrons, which was really fun to kind of come up with my own take on. Like so. They look a bit like roof tiles. Dudes, I guess I don't really play super serious, gritty kind of campaigns. I prefer mine to be a bit lighthearted and that kind of, you know, I think anthropomorphic animals can absolutely kick butt. I mean, if you've seen Watership Down, you know how terrifying rabbits can be. Ooh, Rune Triton and Rabbit Folk Monk both sound fantastic and incredibly tempting. I love both of those concepts. Thank you so much to Dernicus King and Sean's YAML Art for following. So I'm going to continue kind of doing all these pauldrons, just following the shape along. Like so. There we go, that's one. Let's go do the other one. On the other side. And then there's just a little bit of overlap there, just gonna cut that out. And then, like the other side, we'll have a little rivet in that bottom corner. Aww, Ogwyn, that's so cute. It's too wholesome. Alright, let's do this other side, the collar. I mean, that should be the most important question, really, should it? How many pastries can the bag of holding carry? And thank you so much, Ed Fortune, for the bits. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. I was kind of popping in the little folds of the coat here, as well as the left-hand side. It is a bag of devour. Well, I think, you know, let's just hope it isn't a sentient bag of holding, or that's learning to eat all your pastries in no time at all. Although with the number of corpses people hide inside their bags of holding, I think that would be a very unhappy. I think most sentient bag of holdings would go mad in no time. When it comes to fabric folds, I tend to, rather than doing one line, I build up this kind of hatching effect, which I find makes fabric folds look a bit softer, in case anyone was kind of wondering about that. It's kind of the side of the elbow pad, which you can kind of see a bit better on this side. Let's just go all the way down and just finish this arm, I think, all the way here. Adjust the glasses. Let's pop in these straps, actually. There we go. And then just bring the leather down here. Tilly17, thank you very much. That's what I strive to provide. So if there is any specific questions anyone has about anything particular in Photoshop or anything art related, I'm always happy to answer questions if I can. Okay. Oh, quietly fair, I'm sorry. Daylight savings is weird. Although perhaps it didn't help that we actually started an hour later today anyway. Purely because my partner just started a new job, so he needed me to come pick him up from work. So 5 o'clock was, you know, not the optimum time to start streaming today. I've kind of added like a feather motif to these braces because I believe these braces give the character like an extra help with aiming. There we go. And then I'm just going to quickly pop in the hand that's behind the bow. Oh, running about brush settings. Yeah, absolutely. So this is a very bitty brush. When I'm doing line art, I usually line up more like a size 8, 7 or 8 brush, but this particular character is quite, you know, it's a full body character, so there's a lot of detail. In terms of the actual settings, obviously it's the 4th brush down. Under general brushes, comes with Photoshop, it's nothing exclusive. It's the hard round pressure size brush. In the brush settings, the only thing I change is I turn on transfer, which is a really wonderful little tool, which basically means that the harder you press, as you vary your pen pressure, it varies the opacity of the line. So if I press real hard, I get a nice solid dark line. If I press really lightly, I get a really tiny line. kind of mimics like traditional pencil more than pen, which I like for lines. I find it gives me a bit more control for line art anyway. Although I actually use exactly the same brush for almost every part of the process, to be honest. So that's the special brush. No worries at all. What time do streams usually start? Usually I start at 5 p.m. GMT. I'm based in kind of UK time, which is an hour earlier than what I started today. But now and again I'll throw in extra streams at odd times, because I'm unhelpful like that, you know. Thank you so much, Alien Offroswell, for following. I'm sorry for messing that up. Okay, there's the last kind of little finger hiding there, and we can now do the other arm, I think. Oh, maybe just a little bit more fabric folds, because can't have enough creases. There we go. Yeah, let's do the other side. Thank you so much, Tobio, for following. Oh, Algwen, thank you. Yeah, it actually took me a long time to get a pose for this character that I was happy with. I'm very, very picky when it comes to working out like initial poses and stuff. Like with this chap, I was at it for a good hour trying to get a pose I liked, getting rid of the sketch and starting again. That's another reason that characters holding weapons are going to be tend to be a bit more expensive in commissions, because it affects the entire kind of pose and layout of a character if they're interacting with props like that. It's not just like drawing the prop itself. And then we've got the kind of elbow armoured bit itself. Itchy nose. May I ask how you usually work out poses? Absolutely. In terms of working out poses and getting proportions right for characters, I always use reference. That's my biggest piece of advice. Make sure you have some reference. I use a variety of sources. There's a few kind of like stock artists on like Shutterstock and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, really well-known Senshi stock on DeviantArt does some really great stuff. What I will usually do is I'll copy a couple of poses that I like, as well as looking up specific or taking photos myself of specific hand positions, because hands are really hard. Often I will take photographs of my own hands to kind of get my idea like how a particular hand pose works. For example, if a character is holding a bow, I will grab like a tube, like something in my room, and like hold it in the right position and kind of work out how it works. So it's a combination of stock photos from people who kind of make that sort of thing for artists, and taking my own photos to get the pose I want. And that kind of takes a while. It's all kind of part of the process, but I think if you're using reference, you'll always be happier with your anatomy, especially if you're going for a realistic style. It's quite important. Oh, Sean, thank you so much. But yeah, working out poses is really hard. It takes forever to kind of get, like I said earlier, with this piece, I was at it for over an hour until I was happy. There was like ages where the hands just didn't look right, not because the hands weren't drawn right, but because of the angle with the wrist and the rest of the arm, and it was really driving me nuts. In the end, I just kind of changed it up a little bit. Okay, let's do the second bracer. It is really hard, but no, never feel bad looking up references. Almost every professional artist, concept artist, like Magic the Gathering card illustrator, almost every one of those that I know or I've talked to or I'm familiar with uses reference. often they'll spend like half a day setting up a scene with proper lights and photography kit in their house to get like the scene, kind of a photograph for the scene to work from. Because it's the best way of getting lighting and poses and anatomy and making sure you get it right. Especially when you are a full-time artist and it's your career. And you've got to do like loads of pieces like this every week. You need to find the most efficient way to get kind of quality and get your images looking nice without spending hours and hours and hours trying to freehand get proportions right. So I'll always advocate using reference. Let's just redo that line there. And it's not just kind of illustrators. I know that I've got friends who are 3D artists who make assets for video games. They use references too. They basically will trace exactly off of like the designs for a character and stuff like that. So it's every kind of discipline does it. Even when I was doing traditional art, when I was doing oil painting, if I was doing an oil painting portrait, what we'd do is we'd use an old school projector. We'd take a photo of the person we were painting and use the projector to project it onto the canvas, and then with just with a pencil I'd mark out like anchor lines, so the corners of the eyes, kind of the chin, the shape of the jaw. We used to do that stuff all the time when I was doing more traditional style artwork. Of course, it's quite difficult to get references with friends at the moment, what with the whole pandemic situation. But it is useful to get friends to help if you can. So we've got 1, 2, 3 inner lines. And do they kind of curl around? What do we have? Okay, so they are very similar to what I've got going here. And then the other lines are kind of coming across and down. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. There we go. Candy Cane 55. I live in the UK. It rains a lot. I think to try and like go to the time of getting friends together with masks, disinfecting everything, getting camera equipment together, it would be a lot, and then it would rain, or like be super blustery. Also, we're in like a full lockdown here, so that would still be frowned upon. We can't actually meet outside in groups yet. Yeah, it won't be forever. We'll be there soon. I'm very happy because my folks got vaccinated today, so that's some good news. All right, that's the other hand. I'm just gonna enunciate this line here a tiny bit. And then I'm thinking maybe I just want to put the bow in now, get that done, so that the stuff underneath isn't kind of getting in the way. So yeah, I might do that now. I'm just going to bring up the reference for the bow, because it's a very kind of organic, natural wood style bow. I'm going to go jump up to a size 7 as well, because I want lots of kind of natural wood kind of shapes and swirls and knotwork coming in here. What kind of graphics tablets do I use to draw? I use the Wacom Cintiq 16, which is a screen tablet, so I can see directly what I'm drawing onto. It is pretty pricey. It was a big investment for me a couple of years ago when I knew I wanted to do this kind of full-time professionally. So if you are just starting out, I'd recommend maybe the Intuos tablets. They're not screen tablets, but if you're okay with that, then they're really good to start with. But no, the one I use is really great. It's, like I say, the Cintiq 16, not the Pro, because I couldn't afford that. It sped up my workflow tons, and it's been a very nice, reliable piece of kit. Oh yeah, Sean's Yannel's out. Yeah, that happened. That's been happening to a lot of artists lately. You get a lot of folks who will run basically a scam where they pretend to be a commissions artist. And what they'll do is they will grab pictures of other people's work. Sometimes they don't even crop out like the links or like the watermarks, which just boggles me because like I don't understand how they expect people to fall for it. But yeah, they'll basically say, "Oh, this is a sample of my work. I'll work on this commission for you," and of course, then the person pays them and they just get ghosted. But they use other people's artwork as like, "Hey, this is my work, isn't it pretty? Come have a look." And there are a lot of artists that I respect a lot got targeted by it as well, so it wasn't just me. Just going over these lines a bit. I kind of wanted to add some little kind of spines and organic shapes in the bow. What do I think of using iPad Pros for art? I actually have, I bought a second-hand one so I could try using it for traveling, because before the pandemic, I thought I was going to be visiting my parents a lot because they had a litter of puppies and I was going to be kind of helping them raise them. So I wanted the option of doing kind of work at their place. And obviously I don't want to move my huge desktop PC setup with my tablet and my 2 screens every time I wanted to go home. So I invested in a iPad. Didn't end up using it that much because, funnily enough, haven't done a whole lot of traveling this year. But, oh, thank you so much, is the Twins 3801. But I have used it. I liked it. I think the problem was I'm very used to drawing on something very static. My graphics tablet is heavy. It's kind of stuck in one position on my desk, and it's very solid. The biggest change I found about using an iPad for art is where to put it. Like, is it on my lap? Do I kind of prop it up in one arm? Do I cradle it? And I really struggled with that. And it's not something I see a lot of other artists kind of talk about. So I don't know if they've got a secret magic stand they use. But for me, that was the hardest part. I used kind of the Procreate art app, and that was fine. The interface is almost a little bit too simple for me after kind of Photoshop is quite complicated. But the actual art program was fine. It was purely being kind of uncomfortable painting in a different position to what I was used to, if that makes sense. Alright, that's one side of the bow. Kind of see how it's all looking without the sketch underneath. Let's move across to the other side. Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? Trying to like find where to put it and all that stuff. Hey Stu! Welcome to today's stream. How are you? Stu, be proud of me. I was sewing all day. And I'm gonna have a cool sewing tutorial video ready at some point this week. Well, no, it won't be this week. It'll be when I've been able to actually take the dress out and get some pictures of it. Well, that's the thing. If I'm at my desk, I would just use my normal graphics tablet, right? So the whole kind of point of using the iPad kind of is moot at that point. So there wasn't really a good solution for it. In the end, it's like I haven't used it a huge amount because, like I say, I've just been stuck at home for basically a whole year. So it didn't get a whole lot of use. I say actually no, one thing it has been used for is watching anime in bed before sleep. It gets used for that a lot. And space videos. We watch a lot of videos on space. I bet, yeah, it's been a tiring few weeks. Okay, let's drop down to a 6 because things are getting a bit smaller as we move away from the camera. actually got kind of knots and folds in the wood coming from that direction, so I'm going to reverse that for this side. And then we've got the 3 sharp kind of spines coming down. Oh, Arguin, thank you so much. And thank you so much, Petero and G4 Gargo? I hope I said that right. Thank you both very much for following. Just kind of check what that looks like on the other side. Alright, yeah, it's just a nice little spine going up. Again, check that mirrors the other side. Not quite. We need to move this little spine up a bit, I think. And make this one just a little bit shallower. Now we'll check that. Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. Let's just go in and do those kind of in the middle lines, as I call them. Just making sure the flow of the wood, yeah, that it does change a little bit as we get up here. We have like a U shape. I love painting wood grain. It's really quite relaxing. And I think the way to make this kind of thing look realistic is to keep varying up the style of your strokes. They can be kind of very gentle and kind of almost furry, or they can be quite harsh and kind of spirally and weaving, but varying it gives you more of that kind of organic texture. Alright, okay, well there is the bow. I'm pretty pleased with how that's looking. Let's just, again, look at it without the sketch layer. Looking fun, looking fine. So let us finish the coat, and we'll move down and do those lovely knee-high boots. And who knows, maybe we'll finish the line art in time and do a little bit of the face painting as well. We'll see. We'll see how far we get. One thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to start a new lines layer so that I can paint over what we've just done without actually it being permanent and stuff, in case I mess up. I'm very excited. It's my partner and my anniversary tomorrow, so we're going to treat ourselves to takeaway. And there's nothing better than takeaway night. Is there any kind of commission info detail you'd love to get or makes my life easier? Obviously references and descriptions, etc. But is there anything less common that helps? Ooh, now that's a very interesting question. Things that I really like to get, but I don't often get. Something that's quite fun. Doesn't necessarily make it easier, but I enjoy it and it makes it fun, is if you have a particular color palette in mind for your character and you use one of those kind of palette mixers, or online kind of you make yourself a palette based on a photograph or something, those are really fun to work from. If you give that to me and say, look, this is a rough guide to this character's kind of aesthetic, their kind of color vibe, that can be really helpful. And yeah, thank you all very much. Yeah, it's our 5-year anniversary tomorrow. 5 years has gone past like crazy, and oh gosh, am I in a better place than I was like 6 years ago. What brush am I using? Let's take it from the top, shall we? We are using, under the General Brushes tab of Photoshop, the 4th brush down, which is the hard, round, pressure, size. Whoop! And then in brush settings, we are using the transfer setting. That's the only thing I've turned on, and these are the settings you want. They are the defaults, but just make sure all of these are set to minimum, and pen pressure is the control. Oh, thank you so much, Solipsistic Kitty. Yeah, time has flown since 2016. That was 2016 was when I was kind of leaving university. It was a weird time. Had to move back in with my parents for a bit because it was impossible to get a job when I finished uni, as I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. Wow, it was the before times, before all of the distancing and isolation. I went to a music festival in 2016, gosh. Okay, let's finish the coat. Let's just go all the way down and get the coat done. This is why we did this on a different layer, because it means that I can just erase bits of a line without affecting kind of like the bow that we drew so nicely. Uni is a weird and scary time. Just, you know, take it easy. Don't expect anything to happen too fast, unless it does, in which case just roll with it, you know. And you're doing fine. Especially doing uni in the middle of a pandemic, that makes it even worse. You know, big respect for everyone going through higher education right now. Or just education in general, you know. Oh gosh. Yeah, that's a shame. I had loads of stuff booked for 2020. Nothing happened. And now I'm kind of cautiously looking at late 2021 thinking, is stuff gonna be on? Can I go to Empire LARP this year? I hope so. I'm making so many costumes for it. Which reminds me, I'm currently working on a new video for my YouTube, which is going to be kind of a little series devoted to making your own LARP costumes or simple camp cosplay tutorials, that kind of thing. And I'm currently working on a video on making yourself like a starter kind of like underdress that's suitable for LARP, and it's going pretty well. I'm learning a lot whilst I'm filming it, and I really look forward to sharing it with everyone, because I see a lot of videos on making kind of historical costume appropriate for reenactment and stuff. But again, LARP's a bit different because it's not quite so serious as reenactment, but you still want it to look authentic, but you also want it to be accessible, suitable for camping, and not break the bank, because a lot of traditional authentic fabrics are super expensive and I can't afford them. A lot of people can't. So I wanted to do videos on making good looking costume at an accessible price without like specialist materials or equipment. So yeah, I'm very excited to kind of make those a thing. I'm really hoping I get vaccinated by June. Like I say, my parents got vaccinated today, so hopefully that means they'll start rolling it out for kind of moving through younger generations as the kind of old generations get theirs. Because if it all happens, then it means Empire might run in September. And I'll get to see my friends again. What time period do I reenact? So Empire is interesting because it is like a fantasy setting, but it draws from a lot of different periods and stuff. No, Empire hasn't been... Comic-Con. I have no idea about Comic-Con. But yeah, so Empire is drawn from a lot of different fantasy periods. I would say the faction that I'm a part of, because there are different kind of factions, is inspired by 14th century England and France. So it's very Knights of the Round Table, kind of Eleanor of Aquitaine, lots of kind of like Houppelons and Cotehardis. Basically, it's Robin Hood Men in Tights is the era. That's the vibe of the faction I play, and it's great because everyone is really dramatic and camp, and it's beautiful. And the faction's all about like glory and love, and it's just a good time. They're very loud. But yeah, that's kind of the faction I play for. There are several others. Some that are like, there's the edgy one, which is basically like the Witcher. They're like monster hunters. There are more like woodsy folk. They're like piratey people. There's loads of stuff. Talonier of Otquitaine. I like that. Elleran, very good. You have my approval today. Is it Bristol based? It's actually not. It is based... I don't know if anyone's familiar with Silverstone Racecourse. It's like one of the big... I don't know if it's Formula 1. I don't know much about racing. But it's right next to Silverstone. You can actually hear the cars barely in the distance. But it's like this big site. It's actually not far from Oxford. So it's about a 2-hour drive from where I live in Bristol. It's not too bad. But it's such a big event that it's one of the biggest UK events. It has nearly 3,000 people kind of attend, which is massive. Which is understandably why it was cancelled last year. Yeah, it's quite rural where it's based, which means getting public transportation is tough. But, I mean, they had to pick somewhere where loads of people could camp, and it, you know, was far away from city sounds and light pollution and everything, so I kind of get it. But it is difficult to go to if you don't drive, that's for sure. Oh yeah, it's worth looking up. It's great fun. Like, the world building is very interesting. Okay, I like drawing belts. Belts are also very therapeutic to draw, you know. Alright, there is a belt. Kind of, again, you can see how it looks like without the sketch underneath. There are a lot of these types of events in the UK. Yeah, so in the UK, the sad thing is we don't really have Ren Fair. I know there are medieval fairs, and there's like a big Battle of Hastings reenactment that happens every year in Hastings. But in terms of Ren Fairs, we don't really have them quite like the US does, which makes me sad, because I would love to do more of that kind of thing. I know there is a sort of Ren Fair, I think it is near Wales, called Fantasy Forest, which is like a summer, like a 2-day, just more of a festival. It's not a lot, it's just like lots of like fantasy costume and crafts people there. It's, you know, lots of fun food, and it's like on the grounds of a big old Welsh castle. I think it's Wales. It might not. It might be more North England, Midlands. I'm sorry, I'm from the south. Everywhere above Birmingham is the north to me. But there are a few. I know there's one called Green Cloaks, which is like a slightly science fiction based one. There's one called Blades. Oh gosh, there's quite a lot. I've only been to Empire, and a few little local Vampire the Masquerade LARPs to Bristol, run by a friend of mine. Although if it runs, I'm potentially gonna try and go to Convention of Thorns this year and do like a video about that, because I've always been curious to try Convention of Thorns. This is that's like the really big Vampire the Masquerade LARP that happens in Poland at this massive medieval castle. It's quite expensive, but I kind of wanted to test it out, and I know a few people who are going. But Empire's the one I've got most kind of experience with. See, I always grown up in the south. I'm from Devon, which is why I have a bit of an accent at times. I'm really intrigued now. If you didn't think I was English, what did you think? I know I sometimes have like I do sound a bit more American when I'm streaming for some reason, which I find hilarious. Maybe I've just watched so many streamers that I just kind of chameleon become them. Or maybe the Devonshire accent is just something else. Who knows? But yeah, anyway, yes, I'm very much from the south, so my knowledge of northern cities is abysmal. Even Bristol was north of where I grew up. Alright, there's some puffy little trousers. Let's move on to the booties. Yeah, Devon is super far down. It's the one before Cornwall, which is the furthest south county in England. Yeah, it's very, very rural. There's not a lot in Devon. But yeah, that's where I grew up. I grew up surrounded by the farms, catching bugs in the local river, like they was Pokemons. There goes, put the top of these booties on. That's a funny thing about England, like, you don't need to travel far to get wildly varying regional accents. Also, considering it's such a small kind of country, like, I know nothing about places in the north. A lot of my northern friends know nothing about places in the south. We don't travel around the country much. But yeah, I'm hoping to hopefully visit some friends in the US next year or the year after and try and make it coincide with some Ren fairs because I really want to go to some. Although it would be quite hard to get a sword through customs. So that's the other thing though, maybe it's because I grew up in parts of the South where accents are quite strong rather than London where, I mean there is a London accent but it's not quite so pronounced I don't think as it used to be, especially in the more bougie areas, but I don't really find that I can't understand people through their accents. I find that people kind of make that over the top sometimes, to be kind of mean. I love hearing different accents. It makes me really happy. I just love hearing the different sounds of places that people are from. Thank you so much to Gorsh Official and Mombi15 for following. One day I'll bring a sword back with me from the US, but it is not this day. Hey, there you go, Stu. You've got a fellow Scot friend. You can both tell me how Scotland is a lot better than England, and then I will agree with you. Especially after this week. But let's not talk about British politics on, well, governmental politics on the stream right now. Alright, we got those nice 2 buckles in. I'm just going to kind of... Obviously we've got the side that I'm imagining has a bit of an overlap, is how it's got kind of construction of these boots is going. I love me some tight booties. Wait, what? There we go. Hey, Aurora Zero, welcome! Oh, Metagalactic Llama, thank you so much. That's very, very kind. Drying shoes is usually a bit of a nightmare. Thankfully, tight boots are a lot easier than loose boots. Oh, thank you so much, Aura Zero. Yeah, I mean, I need to do some more emotes soon, actually. We only have 2 for this channel, and that's not nearly enough. And I have more tieflings to share with the world, so I should get on that. I should make a Reza emote just of, like, a table flip, or, like, a kind of other barbarian rage. But, like, a hype rage, if you know what I mean. I'm sure that makes sense to someone. Well, yeah, they'll just commission me the hardest character to draw in the history of character art, and I will cry. But then, you know, if they pay me, it's fine with me. It just might take a while. Also, there's this dog outside that will not stop yapping. I don't know if you can hear it. I'm worried that my mic's quite sensitive. I love me doggos, but I'm more of a big dog person than a like yappy little dog person. Oh, you cannot hear the doggo. You cannot hear the balk. Well, maybe in a year's time there'll be a doggo of my own here who can come say hello on stream. Because now we actually have space for a pupper. I really want to get one in like a year once we're fully settled in here and have got the garden all kind of dog-proof and safe. Especially now my partner's kind of gone back to like a non-working from home position full-time. It's gonna be so quiet and I am a lonely soul. I need constant company. I would be lying if I said I hadn't already been like getting ideas for what kind of pupper would work for us. We definitely want a small dog, but ideally a herding type breed, because I grew up basically in a pack of collies my entire life. My family always had collies, so I'm very familiar with the behavior of herding dogs. I'm less familiar with utility and like toy and terriers. Not a massive fan of terriers. They're lovely, but I just can't predict them the same way I can predict herding dogs. You know, when you grow up with something that has a very kind of a pattern of behavior. Yeah, every neighborhood has a yappy dog, and you know what? Good for the dog, carving out its place in the world. Okay, we're almost done. I forgot the bottom of this coat. Let's fix that now. Oh, it's the jazzy song. That's nice. See, it's funny. I have had very little exposure to cats until recently. Well, I say recently, it's obviously in the before times. But several of my friends have cats, and they always choose me to sit on, no matter what. I don't know if it's because I'm an animal person or I smell nice, but it's always my lap. Like, especially my friend has 2 Siamese cats, and they will both sit on my lap, one on each knee, every time, without fail. Catch up chat. Oh, thank you so much. See, I thought for the longest time I didn't like my line work because I was like, oh, every other artist has way smoother lines than me. I'm really insecure about like my lines being like wobbly and unclean. And I never really thought my style was smooth. Like, you can see my line weight varies a lot. It's quite different to like a comic style artist. But in the end, I just found that embracing my style was the quickest way to growing happier with my art. So that's what I did. Alright, last part of the line art process now. Ooh, my voice is starting to crackle. Vocal fry, off the charts. I'm going to merge these two together, and we're going to string the bow. So to do that, I'm just going to start with one long, perfectly straight line by pressing and holding shift as I draw the line. Makes sure it's nice and straight. And then we're just going to move it into position. Alright, I'd say that's probably about it. Yeah. So with that in the right place, we can just rub out the some of the end bits, draw in kind of where it's tied around. It is a fancy bow, so I'm kind of tying it in a couple of places. there we have it. It is going to be rubbed out here because the arm goes in front of the bowstring. And there we have the completed line art. So I'm going to save this before we lose everything. Oh, 0. Yeah, it's if you're just doing a straight line, either horizontal or vertical, press and hold shift and it will make sure it stays straight. Little tip. So, we've got about 10 minutes left, so I'm just going to get started on laying down the foundations of the skin. So I'm just going to actually name this bowstring so I don't forget what it is. I'm going to leave it set to normal right now, and you'll probably see why when I finish this and upload it. We've got our palette. I'm just going to drag it over here. We actually don't need the sketch anymore, so I'm going to delete it. Goodbye. It's still over here, so we haven't lost it permanently. But there you go, actually, that's an interesting point of comparison. Here is the line art, and here is the sketch where the line art came from. So you can kind of see the difference between going between the two. But yeah, so next thing to do, what's that? Oh, that can merge down. We're gonna start the paint job. So firstly, skin tone. We are going to go and head and grab this color to start with. I usually start with a kind of a mid, slightly shaded tone for skin, just because I find it easier to add light than to add excessive shadow. And we're just going to fill in everywhere where the base skin tone is visible. Like so. This is a pretty character, this one. Oh, thank you so much, Love Sister Kitty. Yeah, I really enjoyed the armor. That I have to give credit to Arguin for that one. They provided very good references of exactly how they saw the armor kind of overlapping each other, the plates and stuff, so. Yeah, got some big feathery wings of flying on this chap. You might have noticed I haven't actually lined those. That is intentional, I didn't just forget, I promise. I actually decided that for painting wings, they actually come out nicer if I don't do a whole line art for them. Purely because especially with white wings, when your tones are very light, the harsh line art can be a bit heavy and make it a little bit too cartoony. So I'm actually going to approach the wings in a slightly more painterly style for this one. Alright, that's that side of the face. Let's do the neck and the ear. And this is the tedious bit, really. This is the painting by numbers, just paint between the lines part. But like all things, it has to be done. I believe Arguin, actually Arguin can answer that. What kind of elf is Arguin? Oh, and do I have any tips for drawing hair? Yeah, when it comes to drawing hair, different to painting hair, when I'm doing the line art for hair and working out the direction it needs to go, first of all, again, reference is your friend. If you have an idea of the hairstyle you want a character to have, try and find pictures of it. That'll help a lot, I promise. The other thing is, go with long lines and keep, even if it's not exactly where your sketch is, keep the lines moving. You want it to be loose and you want to kind of give it that nice jaunty movement. If you're really careful about where you put your lines, it'll look quite static. So when it comes to drawing hair, doing line art for hair, I kind of say, you know, loosen up a bit. Like, let your kind of like movement, especially when you've got curls or waves and stuff, you can go quite loose with it and experiment with the shapes. Always try and go in a direction or follow like a flow. So for example, with the ponytail, it's kind of following this kind of wiggly S-shaped curve, and almost all the lines are kind of following that same kind of path almost. Imagine it like a river. Another piece of advice I have with hair, in fact, let's move. Fuck it, let's make a new layer. Oops, I said a bad word. Just because I want to demonstrate something quick. one of the best ways I find to visualize hair when I'm drawing it is to visualize it more like a ribbon. And rather than painting lots of individual hairs, you want to try and paint chunks in the shape of ribbons. So let's just kind of use this twisty bit as an example. Here is a little twist of hair. There's the first line. And then we do a second kind of bounding line, and then we basically fill what's in between them with very gentle, snaking, shorter lines to give the kind of illusion that there's more strands of hair there, but there actually aren't. And what you can kind of do to kind of reinforce that illusion is do some loose bits coming off to the sides, like so. Make sure it all follows the same shape. But with that, that'll kind of give you that nice kind of flowing hair shape, if that makes sense. There you go. A little bit of explanation, Rachel style there. Last commission question. If trying to get multiple commissions, would you prefer... when you make the commission, if you tell me that you're interested in 2, I kind of need to know then, so I can kind of write that down for you. 2 is fine. I tend to not do kind of more than 3 at once for any one person, just because I get oversubscribed as heck, and I try and make it as fair as possible as to who gets commissions. Yeah, so if you tell me that you want to reserve 2 right at the start, that's fine. I can make a note of it. And usually, if they're like from the same campaign or they're related to each other, tell me and I'll try and do both for you at the same time. I'm also more than happy to split up, do one month and one like the month after or something like that. I'm flexible. Hey Equinox 4, thanks for the dab. Oh, no worry, Tilly17. I'm very pleased you enjoyed the stream. I hope you have a lovely dinner. Alright, there's one hand. This chap's not showing a lot of bare skin, so the other hand will be like the last spot. Just gonna switch to a smaller brush because we've kind of got the bow coming in front a bit here. Gosh, I'm so hungry. My body is confused, but it is an hour later than normal, so usually by now I'm making food. Let's just gently pop in the other fingers. Probably gonna have a break from painting, do some more sewing after this. How dare you dad joke me? You're not my dad. That's true. Interestingly, quietly for it, the same thing applies to LARP. Never try and finish your character's costume. Just don't finish it. Because as soon as you finish your character costume, your character will die. That is what I have learned, and it's always true. Oh, thank you so much, Argwin. Yeah, the bow's really fun. I really enjoyed painting that. Alright, we're going to save again. And I'm just going to put down some very basic starter shadows before we come off. But important, once I've put down a base layer, I always turn on this little button up here. That is the alpha lock. And what that means is essentially, if I just grab a slightly shadowy color, I'm pressing right now, I'm painting here, nothing's coming up. Paint will only appear over areas where I've already put down paint, if that makes sense. Very useful. Yeah, make sure you do have Revivify handy. Right, first place I tend to add shadows when I'm starting to shade faces is under the cheekbone, coming across the cheek like so. This is very useful for getting that initial kind of shape and contour. It's one of the big areas I think makeup artists contour first. I don't know much about makeup, as you can probably tell by how sloppy my eyeliner is. I put makeup on today because I was gonna film like a talking segment of my costume making YouTube videos, and then realized my camera didn't support a direct connection to my microphone, so that was a whole thing. I had to order an extra cable, and oh, I can't tell you how much of a nightmare that was. And then just blending in these shadows as we introduce them so they're not too jarring. I'm just going to carry on up the forehead a little bit, and then I think this eye is going to be on a bit more shadow. And under the bottom lip and the top of the chin is where you get a lot of shadow play. It's true. I'm very, very, very grateful to everyone for their patience with commissions. Quietly Freya, I did see your email earlier, by the way. I was about to reply to it and then realized what the time was. Had to go pick up my partner from work. I will be sending you a reply as soon as I've eaten this evening. Because I definitely have some ideas as to what you're talking about. I was almost like, not quite the same era, but I almost was getting like a Bloodborne vibe for that combination of witchy aesthetic with the fully armored aesthetic that you were talking about. So slightly less, obviously less gothic than Bloodborne, but the way that they kind of combine witch hats and metal armor is pretty cool. But yes, I'll have an email to send you later, and probably be ready to invoice you this week as well. Because I've had a pretty productive week! Woo! Time is marching on and it's terrifying. Ah! As you can see, kind of it pays to kind of get these colours nice and smooth. Gives you a really nice effect. I'm just going to slap some shadow down on the neck just to bring it out from the rest of the face. And I think this is probably where I will leave it for this evening, because we did an entire body line art and we started the paint. And I'm very proud of us. Very, very proud. Oh yeah, no duster jacket. No. Yeah, don't worry, I'm with you on that one. But yes, so, as we come to the end of today's stream, I will remove my funny two-fingered drawing glove and pop some links in chat. We're going to start with, we hosted by Horrorlers. That's so kind of them. I'll have to go send Mark a big thank you. Yes, I stream every Wednesday, usually at 5 p.m. GMT, which is an hour earlier than I started today. And I also stream on Fridays at 5 p.m. GMT, so you can catch me back here in 2 days, a little bit earlier. And that's GMT, that's UK time. So I'm gonna pop some links in chat. If you want to keep up to date with when I'm streaming, yeah, I'm so sorry you joined right at the end, but it is dinner time and I'm very hungry. But if you want to keep up to date with when I'm streaming and see my finished pieces as I upload them, Twitter is one of the best places to follow. I also post all sorts of things on there, stuff about costume, stuff about my YouTube, which I will also link. The VOD for today's stream, if you missed the beginning, will also be out up on YouTube, hopefully later this evening, possibly early tomorrow. We'll see how quickly stuff downloads. But yeah, that's my YouTube, where there are also some other little things on there, so check them out. Instagram, I also have Instagram. Much the same, I post artwork, costume, and miniature painting. I do a bit of as well on my Instagram. That's kind of where to look for stuff like that. ArtStation, I have an ArtStation. It's where you can check out my portfolio. If you're more interested in just seeing my work and other styles that I do. Almost done, I promise. The music I use for my streams is by a very wonderful artist named Kai Engel. You can find their stuff on both the Free Music Archive and also on Spotify, and it's just really good royalty-free ambient music, which is really good for both D&D and streaming and all sorts of stuff, basically. Okay, last link, I promise, Patreon. If you would like to support my work, Patreon's one of the best ways to do it. You can get different subscriber benefits from doing so, and commission priority if you subscribe at the merit tier or above. However, I would ask that for today, if you were thinking of subbing to Patreon, please consider instead donating that money to one of the various causes and charities kind of supporting the End the Hate campaign after the ridiculous, horrible amount of Asian hate crime that's been going on lately. So do please consider donating to those sources. But for now, we are bringing an end to today's stream. Thank you all so very much for joining me. It's been so much fun, and I'm very much looking forward to being back on Friday at 5 p.m. GMT UK time for part 2. I say part 2. I might not be working on this character on Friday. I might be working on something else. Who knows? But until then, have a lovely week, and I will see you very soon. Look after yourselves, look after each other, and I'll see you soon.